All right, our third example. Okay, so taking a look at each of our different types of trinomials and binomials, I'm taking a look and I'm saying, well, this example doesn't match this one, although it looks very close. There's a 10 in front versus, remember, the simple trinomials only have a 1 in front. So I'm thinking it's probably a complex trinomial, or it could be one of these special products, maybe not this one. Now, the thing is, in this tutorial, I don't want to go over these two special products because you could use the same method that I'm going to show you right now instead of using this pink method. So I'm taking a look at this and I'm saying, well, it does look a lot like the complex trinomial. So again, I'm not going to go through these two because you're going to go through them the exact same way with the method that I'm going to show you through the complex trinomial. Okay, so there are two methods. The first one that most people like is the decomposition. And that's because it's very methodical. There's lots of steps, but there are actual steps to it. And then I'll show you the other one, which is a guess and check, which is my favorite because it's fast. All right, so let's do the decomposition first. The way that we do that is you'll notice that your end result will look a lot like the simple trinomial. The only thing is there's going to be numbers in front. Okay, and the way that we do decomposition is you still need a product and a sum. They're only going to be slightly different. Your sum's the same, -3, but your product, which you have to multiply to, is actually these two multiplied together. So 10 times -4, which is -40. Okay, so now you're thinking of two numbers that multiply to -40 and add to -3. So I'm going to fast forward it. The better you are at multiplication and your times tables, the better it is for you. Okay, so two numbers that multiply to -40 would be 8 times 5. And if you want them to multiply to a negative, one's going to have to be a positive and one's going to have to be a negative. But keeping in mind that you also have to add to a -3, so I'm thinking this is probably the negative guy, and this one's probably going to be the positive guy. Okay, so -8 times +5 gives you -40, and they add to -3. Now, what do you do with these two numbers? Because you can't just stick them back into here like you did with the simple trinomial. It's a little bit different. So these two numbers, you're actually going to break up this middle term. You're going to put the -8 there and the 5 there. And again, you could switch the order. Doesn't really matter. Since this 3 has an x beside it, we're going to put an x beside each of these two. Okay, and that was a +5. All right. Now, the reason we split this up is because we need to know, well, these two make the 3. And then we're going to bring down the 10x squared. We're also going to bring down this -4. So that's our first step in decomposition. Okay, now the second step is you're going to start to group the first two and the second two. And you're going to do the greatest common factor factoring out. The biggest number and variable I can take out of both of these two that they have in common is a 2. And they can each give up an x. Okay, so if I divide this guy by 2x, I'm left with 5x. And if I divide the -8x by 2x, I get -4. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with these two that are grouped together. A greatest common factor, well, since there isn't anything that either of those can be divided by, I'm going to divide them by a +1. You don't have to write the 1 if you don't want to, but I like to write it right there. It just helps me to remember that it's actually there. Okay, so 5x divided by 1 is 5x. -4 divided by 1 is -4. Now, you'll notice that these two brackets match, and that's a good thing. If they don't match, you probably did something wrong. Okay, so last step, the greatest common factor in this part right here and this part right here are the brackets. They both match. So let's take the greatest common factor out. That's what these two things have in common. Okay, and if I take it out of this part, I'm left with the 2x. If I take it out of this part, I'm left with the +1. That's why I wrote that 1 in there in the first place. Okay, now you'll notice that it looks just like that green right there. Okay. To check it, again, we're just going to expand. 5x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. We're going to expand by doing FOIL. Okay, F for first, here are the two first, and I'm going to multiply those together. 10x squared. O for outside, that's these two right here. 5x times 1 gives me 5x. I for inside, that's these two. Multiplied together gives me negative 8x. And L for last, that's the last one in this bracket and the last one in this bracket. Multiplied together, negative 4. Okay, and then we're just going to simplify this middle part. 10x squared, that gives you negative 3x minus 4, and that should match your original question, so this answer is correct. All right, and lastly, if they ask you to solve it, you're going to take your factored part, 5x minus 4, 2x plus 1, make sure to put the 0 at the back, and then again, solve both cases. So in this case, 5x minus 4 equals to 0, and in this case, 2x plus 1 equals to 0. Okay, so bring the 4 over first, not the 5. 5x equals to positive 4, and then that last step, divide out the 5. So your answer over here is 4 over 5. Okay, and for this one, bring the positive 1 over. You get 2x equals negative 1, and then divide by 2. So your other answer is negative 1 over